Yeah. Yeah, you like that, you stupid bitch? Yeah, show me that ass. Boom! Hey everyone, it's your boy B3, back with another B3 Reads. Today we're doing part 3 of Monster Island, which is, of course, a fan fiction on Wattpad, and it's, written by some bitch. I don't know. I'm just kidding. It's by Wrath of Kitty. I think that's correct. I'm sorry I'm such a dickling. But yeah, as I said, it's by Wrath of Kitty. We read a couple parts last time. It was 2. I think it was just 2. I don't think it was 3. I think it was just 2 parts. No, it was 3 parts. It was 3 parts. We read 10 Years Old, The Ugly Larva, or whatever, and The Beautiful Moth. And now we're reading Midnight Meeting. So this is Godzilla meeting Mothra after dark, sneaking out to meet Mothra. Godzilla stood, wondering to show his presence or not. Bad sentence. If he did go to her, what would they do? But if he didn't go, he'd never be able to talk to her again. I'll go, he whispered to himself. He walked over to the river. Mothra looked at him. I thought you wouldn't come. I thought I might. Wow. She was silent for a few moments. Godzilla, yes? Never mind. Why don't you catch me a fish or two? You must be a great fisher. Oh, of course I am. Why, you'll never meet a better fisher than me. She chuckled and said, oh, really? Show me, then. He grinned and faced the water. Then he dove in. That's how you fish? She asked, but he didn't hear her. After about 10 minutes or so, he came up with a big fish in his mouth. It was a bowhead whale. In a river? Whatever. Also, he was a really bad fisher in the last part, and only a few hours have passed since then, so... Oh, I love whales, she said. Great, there's plenty for both of us. They ate in silence. Mothra? Yeah? What does it feel like to fly? That's a hard one. Guess I'll just have to show you. Wait, what? He asked. She grabbed his back and raced into the air. Ah! He roared. Check this out, she said, beginning to spin and twirl very fast in the air. Godzilla wrapped his tail around her and shut his eyes. She laughed and started doing flips. He tightened his grip with his tail. She smiled and stopped flipping. She spread her wings and flew slowly. Godzilla slowly opened his eyes. His tail slowly unwrapped and dangled in the air. See, it's not so bad. No, it's not. It's amazing, Godzilla smiled and looked at the small world beneath him. Can you go any higher? Whatever you say. She reared her body so her head faced the sky. Her wings beat furiously. Going up was always hard, but carrying a 40,000-ton monster, it was almost impossible. They were about 70,000 feet in the air when Godzilla began to slip from her grip. Mothra, I'm slipping! He dug his claws into her side, hoping to stay on. His claws slipped from her sides, leaving long, deep, bloody scratches. He fell from her body. He roared loudly. Whew. Godzilla, Mothra said, folding her wings back, diving downward to Godzilla. Godzilla roared and hoped Mothra would reach him in time. Mothra! Mothra! The wind made him face the ground instead of Mothra. Then his body began spiral and twirl. He roared. And then there's a dumb author's note in the middle of this. Hey guys, go on YouTube and search Godzilla 1962 through 1975 roars. That's what the Godzilla in this story sounds like. The higher pitched ones are his, but not the super high ones that sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Mothra has her own roar too. Just look up at Mothra, roar, chirp, or cry, and if you want to hear or see what the other young monsters sound like or look like, just look it up. All sounds are on YouTube. Lazy. You're lazy. Also, you didn't capitalize a single word in that paragraph. Hold on. Oh, and it was just awfully written. Hold on. You need to angle yourself, she yelled. He kept spiraling. Mothra pressed her wings harder on her back. She had almost got to him, but they were also only 20 feet from the ground. Wait. 20 feet from the ground? That's like this much to a kaiju. They're big enough to eat a whale? But he's 20 feet from the ground? Fuck you. Learn scale. She grabbed him and turned onto her back and folded her wings protectively over Godzilla. They crashed through the forest, but only Mothra rammed into the trees and was cut by branches. Godzilla felt no pain, being protected by her wings. Her back faced the ground, and Godzilla was laying on her stomach, but you couldn't see him because Mothra's wings were wrapped around him. They crashed through the forest, taking down trees. Finally, she hit the ground, skidding over it, leaving a long, deep indent in the dirt. Finally, they stopped sliding, and Mothra's wings unfolded and fell to the ground like a dead bird falls from the sky. Godzilla slowly opened his eyes, his face buried in her chest. He pushed himself off of her and stood on shaky legs. He looked at her. Her wings were torn. Her antennas were bent. One leg bent unnaturally. She had long claw marks on her side which dripped blood. Bruises all over her body, and there was bloody froth dripping from her mouth. Then he saw the wound on her head. A part of her head was crushed and caved in. He crouched down next to her. Holy shit. Mothra, are you alright? He said, nudging her. She didn't answer. No fucking shit. Mothra, answer me, please. Oh no, you can't do this. Please don't do this. Please? Question mark. She still didn't answer. Oh, Mothra, I'm so sorry. He closed his eyes and caressed her face with his. Don't be. It wasn't your fault, she said feebly and quietly. Godzilla gasped and rose his head. Mothra, you're alive. I might not survive the night, though. Godzilla closed his eyes and bowed his head. I'm sorry, Mothra. It is my fault. Don't blame yourself. He lowered his head and caressed her cheek with his own. Godzilla, since I might not live to see tomorrow, I want you to know how I feel about you. He looked up at her, but continued to rub his face on hers. I really like you, Godzilla. I might even... She trailed off. You might even what? Love the person who fucking bullied you the first time you met, and then wanted to suck your tits the second time? This is the third time you've met this dude. You don't love him. I might love you, they both said at the same time. Godzilla lifted his head and gazed into her eyes. You do? Yes, Mothra. They're 10. Remember, they're 10 years old. She smiled, then winced at the pain. Godzilla lowered his head and rested his cheek on hers. Godzilla, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't. It was mine. Please don't blame yourself. Please. Godzilla nodded. Godzilla, yes? I'm not ready to go, but I have to. I want to die with you beside me. Stay with me until I fall asleep. Stay with me. He felt tears running down his face. I will always stay with you, Mothra. I'll make that promise to you. I'll stay with you always. That was kind of dumb. Like, if you're gonna kill off a character, you have to make people care about that character first. Right? That was the third time we've met Mothra. What did she do to make us really like her? They didn't build up that relationship, so it's not sad. We have to know a character to mourn for them. Whatever. The next chapter is called, Is She Dead? Godzilla laid next to Mothra, unable to sleep. She had fallen asleep an hour before. Godzilla wanted to toss and turn, but he didn't want to disturb Mothra. If she was going to die, he wanted her to go peacefully. He curled his trail to his nose, I guess that's supposed to be tail, and listened to Mothra breathe. It lulled him to sleep, but when he fell asleep, the nightmares cut him like a million claws. Godzilla's eyes opened. He was in the middle of a field. Then he saw her. Mothra was hovering in the air a few feet above him. Mothra, you're alive. Her eyes turned bright red. You've killed me, she yelled. What? It's your fault. You've murdered me. But you said, it's all your fault. Your fault, she yelled. It wasn't. It's your fault. You've done this to me. Just then, blood dripped from multiple parts of her body, including her eyes and mouth. I'm sorry, he whimpered. Sorry doesn't cut it. Mothra! Don't even say my name. Vermin like you don't deserve to speak. I am sorry. Be silent. The edges of her wings turned razor sharp, and she sped to Godzilla, cutting him with her wings. He roared in pain. What are you doing? I'm going to do exactly what you did to me. She turned around and came at him again. Godzilla opened his mouth and flames burst from his jaws. His flames hit Mothra head on, and he heard her let out a painful loud chirp. When the flames stopped, Mothra was on the ground dead. Mothra, he yelled. There came no response. Bleh. Godzilla's eyes popped open and he threw up his head. He breathed heavily and finally until his dream faded into the wrecked forest. He looked to his side. There was Mothra laying next to him. She hadn't moved since he'd fallen asleep. He also didn't see the rise and fall of her chest. He closed his eyes and looked down. He opened his eyes again, got up, and walked a few feet. He looked back at her body just laying there. He raised his head and let out a grief-stricken roar and shook the forest. He began to walk away when he heard the voice he'd been longing for. Wait, don't go, Mothra said quietly. Godzilla almost jumped 50 feet. Mothra! Looks like I haven't died. I get to stay with you. Fuck me. Oh, Mothra, I'm so glad you didn't die. You can't imagine how happy I am. Why hasn't he gone to get help? Part of her skull's caved in. I mean, I know bugs don't really have skulls, but come on! Oh, Mothra, I'm so glad you didn't die. You can't imagine how happy I am. I'm happy I can live to see you. Mothra, I know it's only been one night, but oh, never mind. Speak your mind, Godzilla. Will you be my queen? She was silent. Oh, I knew it was too soon. I'm so stupid. Yes, what? Yes, I'll be your queen. Once again, they are 10 years old. Maybe 11. Just saying. Still kids. The next chapter is called She Can't Be Queen, which I kind of predicted because all the monsters that have mated are monsters of the same species so far. So let's see what happens here. Godzilla helped Mothra home. She flapped one wing, but the torn one rested on Godzilla's back. They walked in silence until they reached Mothra's cave. It was empty. Mothra, where's your parents? Their bodies are on Monster Island. I'm sorry for asking. It's all right, she said. He helped her into her den. I'll check on you tonight, okay? Oh, wait. He walked out of the den and walked back in with large leaves in his hand. Here, he bent down and gently put the leaves over her wound on her head. She needs some real, actual help. He's gonna leave her alone after all those injuries? Wing torn to shreds, bruises, scratches, caved in fucking skull. Insane. Thank you, she said quietly. He nodded and left Mothra. He walked through the forest looking at all the fallen trees, rocks split in half, and the large and deep sliding marks in the mud. He then looked into the sky. It was now dawn. He walked home, and there was his father, standing in front of the cave, arms crossed. Where have you been? I got a drink. So you've been drinking water since the moon was at its highest? Oh, you were awake? Yes, Godzilla. If you're going to sneak out, try not dragging your tail. Oh. If he knew he sneaked out, why didn't he stop him if it woke him up? I saw you with that moth. You let her touch you. You aren't allowed to touch any female monster unless she's your queen. Father, what? She is my queen. His eyes turned to slits. What? I asked her and she said yes. No! Godzilla raised his voice. Why not? 1, you're too young. Agreed. 2, I didn't pick her. Bad. You didn't pick her? What? My father chose Godzilla for me to mate with. That doesn't mean you have to. You'll mate with Baraga. Barag who? Wait, no. Yes, she is Baragon's sister. She is a really polite monster. Mothra is more polite. She isn't. Have you met her? No, exactly. And I don't intend to. Okay, so... if the dad thinks Godzilla is too young to mate, why has he already picked a mate for Godzilla? Does that make sense? Does this dog standing on my pecker and me not doing anything make sense? Nothing makes sense. She a good dog, though. She a good doggy. You want to read the next part? Give her a oh my nuts! Give her a chance. No, you will mate with Baraga, and that's final. No, I'll run away with Mothra. I'll find you. You won't. Godzilla slapped his face, leaving claw marks on his cheek. That's child abuse. That's child abuse. Don't do it. He's just a boy. You will obey me, or I will have your head. Godzilla growled and said, I accept your challenge. What? I will fight you, and if I win, I get Mothra. Fine, have it your way. He spun and hit Godzilla's legs with his tail, knocking him off his feet. He stood over him and stomped on his tail. Godzilla roared in pain. Godzilla then kicked his side. Godzilla rolled over and got up, slapping Godzilla with his tail, messing up his balance. Godzilla took the chance and ran at him head on. He his Godzilla's chest with his head? What? Kicking the both of them over. Godzilla, laying on his father's stomach, dug his claws into his skin and got up. Godzilla moved his tail and hit Godzilla, knocking him down again. Bad mistake. Godzilla fell right on him. A 40,000-ton monster fell onto him, crushing a rib. Godzilla heard this crack and clawed his face and got up. He stomped on him where his broken rib was. That's supposed to be rib, but they didn't do any proofreading or anything. Godzilla coughed up blood. Dude, he probably punctured a lung! Give up, Godzilla asked. He coughed and said never. Godzilla noticed that a crowd of monsters watched them. Godzilla looked back at Godzilla and blew his fire. When he stopped, Godzilla was gone. Then a heavy arm hit him on the back, sending him flying. He hit the ground with a loud boom. The breath was knocked out of him. His head collapsed as he gasped for breath. Godzilla walked and stood over him. Give up? Godzilla was silent until he got his breath back. I said to you, give up. Godzilla pushed himself up. Never! They both ran at each other and hit each other with a bang. Godzilla gave it everything to knock him down, but it couldn't. He slashed Godzilla's face and bit his arms. Godzilla slapped him with his tail. Godzilla stomped on his foot, and just for a moment, Godzilla loosened his grip. Godzilla grabbed his shoulders, spun him around, and chucked him 20 feet, which once again would be that much to a kaiju. Just a tiny little minuscule amount. Decide what size your monsters are. Godzilla hit the ground spinning. He got up dizzy. Godzilla lifted a tree from its roots and threw it at him. It hit him in the back, knocking him down. Godzilla walked up to him, turned around, and pounded his chest with his tail. Godzilla grabbed his leg, about to pull. Godzilla looked down at him, teeth barred, tail straight up. Palms sweaty. Knees weak, arms are heavy, mom spaghetti. A stance and look of dominance. Godzilla gave in, moved his tail so it was between his legs, and let go of Godzilla. I give in. You may have Mothra, and you are the new king, he coughed. 10 years old, and he's the new king. Godzilla didn't take his eyes off him. Find another cave far from me. Anguirus is no longer the beta Anguirus is. Tell them that, understand? Yes, he got up slowly and limped away, tail between his legs. Godzilla watched him leave until he couldn't see him anymore. He walked into his cave and laid down. What have I done? He was my father. I'm the only thing he has left, and Godzilla, and I've betrayed him. I am sorry, Godzilla, father, Godzilla thought. Well, you didn't have to kick him out. And I don't know about betrayed him. You kicked his ass, I guess. Such a stupid story. I'm sorry, but this is a dumb, dumb story. And that's where we're going to stop for the day. So, thank you all very, very much for your support. Next time we'll be continuing this same story. You know what? I need to see what the next part is called. You have to look at ads between each story. The next one's called The New King. Oh, and this one takes place a few years later. So, that's pretty Gucci gang. So we'll get to see an adult Godzilla more than likely. Or a young adult Godzilla at least. So that's it. Thank you all for watching this episode of B3 Reads. You can support us on Patreon, where we have lots of great content. I think I've posted nearly 150 things on Patreon. So, get that Gucci while it lasts. We also got Facebook, Twitter, etc. Thank you all once again. I'll see you all later.